Hello, Ray Phoenix here, and this is Ms. Pac-Man being played on an actual arcade cabinet. This was at an arcade called the Palace Arcade in Perth, Western Australia. This version of Ms. Pac-Man has been altered, so Ms. Pac-Man runs ultra fast, is how I'm titling this, as Ultra Fast Ms. Pac-Man, where she just runs so fast, faster than any of the ghosts can run. It's easy to capture all the ghosts, easy when you catch the power pellets, and levels in this game get cleared in like 2 seconds simply because she's really fast. I actually saw someone make a mod like this a long time ago where they put Sonic the Hedgehog in place of Pac-Man, then he runs through the maze. Everything else about this game seems to be exactly the same. The joystick is actually working quite fine. It only costs $1 to play a game, not 25 cents. That's because this is in Australia. They never had 25-cent coins in Australia. At least I don't think they ever did. They have 20-cent coins, and they have 50-cent coins, and dollar coins, but I don't think they ever had 25-cent coins in Australia. So it's cost $1, and the Australian dollar is significantly weaker than the US dollar, so it makes sense it would cost a lot more to play an arcade game. You don't even use actual coins, they just use cards, where you load money into a card, and because all the arcades do it. Now, even Chuck E. Cheese does that nowadays, so that's actually not really that surprising. This is like at a bar-type restaurant kind of thing that has a lot of classic retro vintage arcades set up everywhere around. They have quite a lot of arcades. I was only able to record 2 of them because most arcade games require at least 2 hands to be played, and Ms. Pac-Man is actually one of the only arcade games that doesn't require 2 hands to be played. I have my phone in one hand, which is filming this, and I have my other hand. You can see my other hand is on the joystick. You see here's my hand just frantically moving the joystick around, trying to move Ms. Pac-Man around. You think the game playing very fast would make the game a lot harder? It's not that hard, much harder at all. It's actually a lot easier, actually. Same reason why when I play the Genesis version of Ms. Pac-Man, I always enable the Pac booster, because Ms. Pac-Man can run past all the ghosts. She's faster than all the ghosts. It's only harder because it's hard to control her. It's hard to move around, and it's hard to dodge ghosts sometimes because you lose control for going so fast. Most of the time, it's easy to outrun ghosts in this game. It's easy to capture all the ghosts once you eat the power pellets. For the most part, this is actually very easy. This is probably the easiest version of Ms. Pac-Man I've ever played on an arcade cabinet for. Then again, there aren't an awful lot of times I played Ms. Pac-Man on arcade cabinets, simply because, well, sure, it is probably my most... This game probably is my most played arcade game ever from an actual arcade cabinet. Then again, there aren't so many arcade machines around nowadays, but they seem to be alive and well in Australia, and I'm quite glad of that. That high score, it says 54,450 points. That actually is a score that I did when I was test playing the game before I went ahead and recorded it, and that actually is a score I actually got. There is audio. This game does produce the full audio of Ms. Pac-Man, but I couldn't put it in the video because the bar was playing music of copyrighted music. I didn't want to put that in the video. If you want to see the original unaltered video of this, which has the music and sounds, I'll include a link to archive.org, because I also upload this raw footage to archive.org, so you could go find the video there if you want to see what the original unaltered version is like. But for now, if you just want to see what my version is, here it is with my commentary. So yeah, the game plays really fast. You'd think the game would be over really fast. It plays fast, but no, it still manages to go on quite a long time, actually. I actually made this game last quite a long time, which is actually quite impressive for an arcade game. Arcade games are usually over in like maybe 2 minutes or so, and they make you put another $1 into the machine. This game actually gave me quite a good amount of time, a good amount of gameplay time, actually. I actually did get my money's worth. This is actually an ideal way to play Ms. Pac-Man the more I think of it. It's fast, but I like it fast. It is a fast-paced game. I find fast-paced games actually tend to be easier for the most part. Like Galaxian, for example, is a game I actually find to be quite challenging, because Galaxian plays at a very slow pace. But that's part of what adds to the challenge of it. It's slow. You can only shoot like at a very slow rate. And games like Centipede are actually slightly easier than games like Galaxian and Galaga, and other games like that are actually kind of easier than Galaxian because they play at much faster paces. So it's actually kind of easier to outrun things and move away from things, and you get more shots on the screen at a time. So those games actually are easier in Galaxian for reasons like that. Slow is actually kind of harder, actually, the more I think of it now. And this is, of course, the arcade version of Ms. Pac-Man in all its full arcade glory, its full Namco arcade glory, and has a copyright year of the glorious year of 1981 on it. Yep, this game came out in 1981, or so they say, the same year the space shuttle was first launched, the same year Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as America's 40th president. And now here I am, more than 42 years later, playing Ms. Pac-Man at a bar in Perth. Yep, times have changed, but sometimes things remain the same. I've been making these videos for years now. The first gaming video I ever made on YouTube was a video of me playing Ms. Pac-Man at an arcade machine in late 2000, at an arcade in late 2017 arcade that sadly no longer exists anymore. A lot of arcades these days have gone the way of the dodo. I hope this arcade never goes the way of the dodo. I love this arcade, and whoa, look at that. I just beat my high score. I now have over 50, whoa, I have like over 50,000 points. That's a really good score I have right there. And look at that, they're being cheap now. They used to give me the bananas now on the screen, which give 5,000 points. Now I'm getting strawberries, which have nowhere near as many points, only like 100 points. This game is being cheap now. It's probably because I just got a really big score. I rarely ever get to this part of the game actually because of how challenging it is. One of the only times I ever made it to this part of the game on a version that somewhat resembled the original arcade version was the Game Boy Advance version. I had this on the Namco Museum for the Game Boy Advance. I got that for my birthday back in 2005. And that was actually the first time I truly played for Ms. Pac-Man, actually truly discovered what Ms. Pac-Man was. And boy, I thought it was one of the greatest things ever. The only problem was my Game Boy Advance I had at the time wasn't that decent. I had one of those very original Game Boy Advances that actually fit in your hands. The control was really nice on it. The only problem was the screen sucked. It's hard to make out anything on that crappy screen, and it really sucked. That's why the Game Boy Advance SP was better, for that one and only reason. So you can see Ms. Pac-Man and Pac-Man have mated now, and they gave birth to a baby, Junior Pac-Man. He'll eventually star in his own game too, eventually. Junior Pac-Man, a game that Namco had nothing to do with, which is why it never appears on any of the Namco museums. But Ms. Pac-Man was kind of like that too. Ms. Pac-Man started off as a project that some people made, some students I think made as like a programming project or something like that. And eventually Namco liked it so much that they made it officially part of Pac-Man. They made it an official Pac-Man game. So I rarely ever get to see this level because I rarely ever make it up to this level. So I'm glad I got this on camera, if you know what I mean. It's hard for me to hold the camera still on playing the game. That's why it's kind of jittery around a bit, but there, I'm looking at that. I'm just getting through the level. It's eating my way through, literally eating my way through the level. I cleared that one. Look at that. You can see my score. It's like 66,000, over 66,000 points. I don't think I've ever got a score that high. For even when I play this on game systems, I don't think I ever get scores that high. I think I've got scores that high in the Genesis version. That's because the Genesis version, we can make Ms. Pac-Man move really fast and easily escape the ghosts and get very far into the game. I actually did make a video about that a long time ago where I had no idea what to talk about, so I just went on talking about a guide thing and stuff like that because I had nothing better else to talk about. But now I do have better stuff to talk about, like the state of the economy, because our economy must be good these days if we could play Ms. Pac-Man in the arcades. And while business people are standing next to me doing a meeting, there were some business people, some Australian business people doing a meeting. Of course, it'd be Australians in Australia, so people are doing business meetings or things like that at the bar while I'm just sitting here playing Ms. Pac-Man. They're just going on about their important plans that could determine the fate of their company. Well, I'm just standing here determining the fate of how this video is going to be turning out. So I think it's game over now. 72,570 points. Yep, biggest score ever. And you can see here's Ms. Pac-Man. It's next to an arcade machine of Space Invaders. There's also Duck Hunt there, and there's Donkey Kong Jr. and more. This is Ray Phoenix, signing out.